Okay, with Eliza Goodwin, the Pomegranate Theory is the short film. Really great film. I love this film a lot. I think that I was talking to your of the other teammates. I think I was talking to your cinematographer and your producer a couple of weeks back, and I'm glad to have you on board. So you're in Thunder Bay, right?
Yeah, I'm back in Thunder Bay. This is my hometown, so this is where I grew up.
So this is way. How many people live in Thunder Bay?
Oh, around I'd say 100,000,
So it's a
130,000.
pretty big city, but it's way up there, way up in the. Do you see the Northern Lights up there?
Sometimes you can. We're right on Lake Superior, so it's pretty beautiful up
That's
here.
pretty cool because that's on people's like so-called bucket list to see the Northern Lights, right? And you
hmm
can see it all the time, I guess.
Yeah, it's honestly nature-wise so beautiful here. Like to film up here would be like a dream for me to be able to do that.
I'm assuming you're going to eventually, right?
I would like to, yeah, I'd like to take some northern creators up here and work together on a team, like to do something for sure.
Okay. So your film was done at Humber College. I have to say, I've seen a lot of Humber College film. It's in the hundreds. I'm not, I'm on record saying this is my favorite Humber College film I've seen so far.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a really big honor. Yeah, it was our thesis film, which I wrote and directed. I started the journey in January to write it in I believe 2024. And we finished it up in April 2025. But it was like such a group effort, and like I had such an amazing group of like other students behind me helping me with this. Like it was just an amazing collaborative experience.
All right, so you wrote the screenplay. So tell me about this idea. Where did the idea come from for you?
Yeah, so kind of back when I wrote it, I found the pomegranate theory, which was kind of this idea. There's also like the orange peel theory and things like that, that like if someone really loves you, they'll take the time to peel this fruit apart because it is such a messy fruit and it takes time. So it's a time-consuming process, and that's where like the idea started. And then I had discussions with other young adults around young adult relationships and kind of what they felt like issues they faced or different things. And especially with women, this idea of how sometimes within society we're conditioned to put others' needs before our own, and that sometimes carries into our romantic relations as well. So that was a big chunk of what I focused on when writing the screenplay. And I thought one of the other things that I picked up on was lack of communication, which was a reason I didn't want to use dialogue within the film.
Mhm. So you did it in a kind of these kind of themes in an experimental way, I guess, kind of showing these emotions through kind of this your kind of story with the mask. Where did the mask idea come from for you?
So I had earlier on in like the year before, I had done a film with masks, and like it's a big thing for me that I like to use them. But another thing like that I discussed too was that sometimes people would hide behind these personas at the beginning and they would kind of fall apart as the relationship went on, which was one part of the reason I wanted to use them. And I feel like a lot of time in society, we present ourselves differently to like
Sure.
outwards to the world besides than behind, I guess, in our relationships and when we're close to people.
Yeah, we're all guilty of that, right? So, but this is sort of like an abusive relationship, I guess.
I
Go ahead.
I guess. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
No, go
interrupt
ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Good. Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
I think too, like part of it was like trying to find a way to show him like that it was. I wouldn't say it was so much abusive when I wrote it, but it was more on the ends of like he just didn't realize that like what he was doing was wrong. Like this was just normalized for him to go in there and do what he pleased. So I wouldn't say that it was like ill intent when I was writing it from his
Yeah.
perspective, but it was just like how he saw the relationship was it was just okay to do those
Yeah.
things.
So he was ignorant, but he was still like he's still like he's still bad. He's still wrong, right?
Still wrong, yeah.
Just because you're ignorant doesn't mean you're wrong, right? So
Yeah.
because he know that his own like childhood or wherever his developing years to reach to the point of this relationship has he thinks this is all normal for him, right? So,
hmm
but then it's the woman's choice to like see that problem, right? I guess.
hmm
Yeah. All right. So the like I love the kind of the art direction and the style and the cabin. Where did you shoot this? Because obviously the woods and the kind of, I guess it's a cabin or some sort of like woods house, I guess, is almost like a character in itself. So it's a great location. So where did you find it?
Yeah, so we actually shot up around Hamilton area. The house was actually our cinematographer Gabby's grandparents' house. So Gabby grew up there, spent a lot of time there, and we got very fortunate that they let us use it. We went there and we had seen a couple other spaces around Toronto, but as soon as we went in the space, I said like this is where we have to film. Like it's so beautiful. Originally, when I wrote the script, the ending scene out in the forest was actually meant to be through a maze. But when took a little walk, I said, "Oh, let's just change it." I said, this is perfect. It gives the same energy and it's confusing, but just part of me like wanted to shoot so badly in it.
Mhm. And so, yeah, and then to talk to me about the art direction, kind of, did you change a lot of the inside of the house?
A lot of it. So our production designer's name is Nikki Stefan. He's fantastic. He and I had a lot of discussions about it. A lot of what was moved around was the bedroom scene specifically. Most of the house, like Nikki, did some set dressing and stuff, but a lot of it we used because of he had such like amazing pieces already in his house. We didn't have to replace it like our grandparents. But the bedroom scene, we moved out and moved everything completely around, and Nikki redid the whole space for us, for sure.
And then what about the mask? Who created the mask?
That was Nikki as well. We discussed a lot about it. Originally, I had the female character, Muyal. She was in a full covered face mask, and
Yeah.
Nikki was playing with it, and he created that beautiful design with the pieces hanging down, and we ended up going with that. But Nikki made them in the end. Yeah.
So the thing with your film is that everybody's going to interpret what they want with the film, right?
Mhm.
Like they're going to have their own kind of idea. What's the symbolism of the of like I called them when I first watched it, I had like I wrote down like Little Red Riding Hood people, but obviously like that's my but the what's the symbolism of the red kind of sheets and the woman in the sheets?
Yeah, that was like another piece was it had to do with like the white sheets as well. There used to be this thing like way back that like when women were virgins, they would hang out white sheets to show that. And when a woman was married or had sex, they would hang the blood on the red sheets over
That
to
was the thing back in what culture was that?
I can't 100% nail it down. It actually came from one of my profs at Humber who told
Okay.
me about it. And was part of the reason I did want to involve it in there was I thought it was an interesting idea of, especially because I had the main character in white. I wanted to carry that on, and the women in my brain, I never originally had them in red sheets when I wrote it, but I
Yeah.
put it in because of I thought like it was a good way to kind of signify them as a group because that's what I wanted them to represent, just women as a whole. And like they're like supporting her through her journey because a big part of like womanhood is like supporting other women. And when we're going through things like having each other's back, and that's kind of what they represented was trying to like help her figure out where she was going throughout this journey. And that's why they were there for her at the end as well.
So then she goes to that scene and then she shows like she's kind of like in like white lingerie waiting for her husband, right? And then she goes into the room and it's white sheets, it's kind of white room. It's sort of like so is like I like I said, this is my interpretation. It's like is she giving up her virginity to him? Like what's the symbolism?
That for me was like, yes, was a virginity. And like, that's why at the I know it wasn't a huge part of it, but like one of the little things that I put in there was like there was these flowers in that scene, and at the
Yeah.
end the flowers were depetaled, and it was her giving herself to him. In my opinion, it was her virginity, but it didn't even have to be just virginity, just sex in general. So that's a big
Yeah.
part.
And then they take off their masks in the bedroom, I guess, right?
Hmm.
And then okay, so like and then he like so the male, what is he wearing? Like what kind of animal does he have? Is he wearing?
He's a fox. That's the mask that I chose for him.
Okay. So what does a fox symbolize? What's the like I just watched Zootopia 2 last night. So,
Um,
so the fox is the main character. I'm sorry, I just throwing that out there.
No, yeah, yeah. So it kind of is like sneaky and cunning and kind of just like, sorry, deceitful in a way. Like that's
Yeah,
what like it says on the description of what that animal represents. And like in this character, like I would say that's kind of what it is, whether he's like we said aware of it or not. He is doing these things that are slightly manipulative, like still leaving after certain things and not giving her what she needs in return.
yeah,
Just I guess in a way it's kind of predator prey in a way with their
yeah.
characters.
Because yeah, like after the like after the sex, I guess he just kind of like just puts on his clothes and just kind of runs off, I guess, right? He got what he
Yeah,
wanted.
and
Yeah. And
sorry, I
that's
keep doing that. I apologize.
no. I'm just curious. So then basically, but then she runs after him, right? Like this, she needs it's her arc, it's her film, right? Where she
Mhm.
needs to have some sort of like realization, I guess, in the film.
Yeah, I think it like for me when I wrote that it was like her last final attempt to hold on to what was there, but she realized like he's not going to turn around, he's not going to change, like it's time
Yeah.
to let it go. And that's when she finds support in those women and they bring her back. And like she was able to like release that mask when he was still had to go out and wear it because she leaves
Yes.
it behind on the bed and like that was her like showing her vulnerability and she realized he's not going to give that back to her in the end.
Yeah. No, I liked how you even describe it. It's not a black and white abusive relationship. It's that it's basically like she deserves better, right? Like
Mhm.
she needs to have that strength to and like the know-how to like this guy's enough of this guy, right? I need to
Mhm.
find someone better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're young, that's hard to do sometimes where you get overwhelmed by the intensity of, when the beginning of a relationship and you
Mhm.
feel good in many ways, but then you know that there's some red flags, I guess, right? Pardon the pun, I guess, right? But so yeah, so
Yeah.
you this is I guess is this personal for you, this film?
Yeah, it's definitely part of my story. And I think, like, for me, when I wrote it, it was part of my story, but it was also part of so many other stories that I heard that were just similar. And it was almost like a pattern of repeating, like, that, like, a lot of younger people would go through this just because of, like I mentioned earlier, like, just the way we were raised or the things that we've seen or how things are portrayed in TV. Like, a lot of times, it's constantly someone chasing someone else and, like, they're not necessarily healthy relationships that we're like idolizing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And there's an unbalanced power in the male female dynamic in society, I guess too, right?
Hmm.
Right? And we get and I'm not a female, but I'm assuming, like you said, media and culture and like our upbringing and kind of how we were raised, it's all like subconscious sometimes, right? We don't even realize it.
Yeah, it's all patterns. Like that's how like I discussed it when I was talking to Charlie and Gabby and stuff. I said like I guess they're just patterns that not everyone, but a lot of people do fall into. And I'm sure there will be some people who will take that from this film and some people who won't. But that was a big thing that I wanted to like show like these things that we do that like might necessarily we don't notice, I guess, in
Yeah.
these relationships.
It's well, like I found it very profound because you're a young filmmaker, you're young, is that we all kind of repeat relationships over and over again. Like friendships, other like relation like obviously romantic relationships because we create these dynamics as when we're growing up and then we just without even realizing it, we're just kind of repeating the same relationships over and over and over again and it's our job to break it. And that's what this, for me, that's what this film was about. And for someone so young to be consciously aware of that, that's pretty, I found it pretty fascinating.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Because most people never figure this out, right? Or they figure it out when they're like 30 or 40 and they have a lot of pain and bad relationships they come to that realization.
Mhm.
So where did you, this is something, do you write like journals? Do you like, where did you kind of come up with this idea for you? Like, how did you know, like, how were you kind of have this insight of knowing this kind of this pretty deep kind of, psychosis of humanity, I guess I would say.
Mm, I don't like I do write. I try to write in my spare time, maybe not so much journals, but I continuously try to have like some form of creativity like or outlet. Um But most of it, yeah, it just comes from talking. Like I think for me, like I'm a very sociable person, so I like to have conversations with people, and like I'll go out for coffees with my friends and we'll sit there and discuss it. Like even Gabby, like I said when I set out to make this film because it was our thesis film and collaborating to me is a really, really
Mhm.
important thing. And I think it just makes films stronger and like our work better. I said I really want to know like your stories too, and like and things that have happened to you and like that kind of idea. Like I didn't want it just to be um not just my story because it wasn't just my story to tell. Like I said, this is a story of many people, and
Mhm.
when it comes to my work, like I want to make sure they feel seen through what they're making because just as much as it's my film, it was their film too. And that's kind of when we first had the first meeting. That's what I said. Like at the end of the day, like we're making something together. And yes, I wrote the story, but I want to know if there's something like where you see like I could add a little piece in there, or like a piece of your story in there as well, because it felt important to me as a director, I guess.
So talk to me about so Jess was your lead, right? So she's
Mhm.
very important person to kind of convey the emotions that you want in the film. Where did you find her?
Jess, I found them on Backstage. They submitted their resume in and everything to me, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's my lead! Like I have to have them. It's their face, their mannerisms, like everything just added up to who I saw when I was writing this story." And a big piece for me when casting both Jess and Ivan was to find out if they had background in dance or movement because the story, there was no dialogue, body movement, and all those little things are
Mm.
so much more noticeable on screen and something that I wanted to come across. So when casting, that was a big thing I looked for as well, was definitely like dancing background as well as acting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, but they got your so Jess got your film, I guess, right? They got what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, like we had a meeting online when they first applied, just to discuss stuff, and then we had a meeting with the intimacy coordinator as well, which I got to get to know both of them a little more. But yeah, like when we talked about it, they understood it. They were in right away, which was really, really exciting. And I would say like with both Ivan and Jess, like they were fantastic on set. We had a great relationship. Like I felt like when I would tell them something, like right away, they knew exactly what I meant and how I felt, and their performances were fantastic.
So you had an intimacy coordinator. That's something that you needed for how to who like I mean because it's a student film. So you did you these are I'm assuming that they're ACTRA members,
The
the
actors,
actors. Yeah,
the actors were not part of Actor No, but we did have Bryn, who was our intimacy coordinator, there for us, just because we were dealing with a topic that was more sensitive.
yeah,
And just like being in a bedroom and just having to wear the clothes they did. I wanted to make sure that they felt comfortable, and
yeah,
Ivan felt comfortable and I felt comfortable, and Bren was amazing, who was our intimacy coordinator and really helped us through it, especially because I never directed a scene with
yeah.
intimacy like that before. I believe that like having her there was very important for
So
all
what do
three.
they do? I'm just curious. What do they do? What do the intimacy coordinators do?
Yeah, so before we went on to set, we had a conversation with Bryn. We kind of made kind of like a contract, which was also like Bryn discussed like you are allowed to take any of this back at any time, any point you're uncomfortable, you can walk away. The way an intimacy coordinator works is sort of like I sort of talk to Bryn about what I want, and Bryn talks to the actors in that way and sees like what's comfortable for them and what's not comfortable. And we had what's considered a closed set, so it was really only me, Gabby, and our first AC Mariana on set, like within
Mhm.
the room, to be able to see what was going on. And yeah, Bren just kind of made sure that it was a safe space for everyone, both crew and actors, and of course herself. And making sure just that what was going on was, I guess, done in a safe way, as intimacy coordinators are new
Yeah.
to the industry in a lot of ways.
No, this is something like I'm not trying to like I'm like an old man. But meaning that like 10 years ago, this is not a thing, right? This is a very
Hmm.
this is a so I'm just curious, like this is a brand new thing. I know that like sometimes the acting coach would be on back in the day. I would be on main like these big Hollywood productions, and it would be definitely a closed set. But then there would be like a part, like let's say there was a female, they would have their acting coach with them. But the intimacy coordinator was something I never saw, like even 10 years ago on like big budget movies, right? So I was just
Hmm.
curious.
Yeah, I believe they became a really big piece, like, or they started moving in. Now,
Yeah,
like, I know that they're still new and there's still not a lot of intimacy coordinators,
yeah,
which was something Humber like made sure for us that was something that we got, or any film that dealt with this topic. But
yeah,
I believe that after the Me Too movement, they decided to
sure.
make this a
Yeah,
position now, which is fantastic for everybody on set.
yeah. But that said, you want to make sure that you serve the story and you get what you want, right? You don't want to compromise the scene, I guess, too, right?
Yeah, and I think that like is a big way like that Bryn comes in and like helps with that because even if say we're not comfortable with doing one thing, she would be able to make suggestions of how we can approach it in a way that still receives the same emotional impact.
Yeah. No, they have, listen, they have fight coordinators and they make sure that there's
Yeah.
safety. So there should be, that makes total sense, right? There should be that emotional support. If they have physical support people, they should have emotional support people. That makes total sense, right? But like I said, that said, I just want to make sure that I don't want them to get away. If I was the director, I wouldn't want them to get away from the story and making sure that the story gets compromised, right?
Mhm.
So it's that fine line, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they were great. And they're like you said, they didn't there's no dialogue, so they're just portraying their kind of story. And they're wearing masks as well, right? So which is, that's great acting on their part. They're able to convey all these emotions without, without the conventional tools, I guess, right?
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. Like I found like when directing, like when I talked to Gabby, like I said, like their hands are going to be a big thing that we're going to
Yeah.
want to focus on. Like everything that they're doing, like all the little small movements, like when we were talking about like doing even the beginning scene, like I said, really focus on like Jess's hands, or even like when Ivan was sitting there and eating at the table, like those little like I try to describe it to them as like animalistic, like you want kind of that like primal kind of like feeling when you're moving your
Yeah.
hands. It was like a big thing, yeah. Like everything I said, like all your body movements gonna be seen and you can't hide anything. There's no words to
Yeah.
distract it.
That's great. So tell me about post-production and editing. I'm curious about your sound design because obviously it's key to your film, right? How did you kind of create your sound design?
So we did have a composer, which was Charles James, and Charles James did a fantastic. He scored the whole thing, except for the very end song was done by Gabby and Nikki for the credits. But Nikki was one of did our mix, and then Craig was our oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the word. Our Foley artist. I'm so sorry.
Gotcha. No, no, it's
He was
fine.
our Foley artist, and he did
People in the school,
fantastic.
they were all from Humber. Did it? Okay, great.
Everybody was from Humber except for Charles, James, and Brandon, our actors.
Gotcha.
Um, Everybody worked from our school, and yeah, our Foley was like that whole beginning scene was done Foley. That whole all the cracks and peels. They spent a lot of time doing that together. And Jacob Borges was also in sound design, and he put in a lot of stuff. And I said, like for me, a big piece of it is like finding those sounds where they do feel like I guess the similar to the hands, like primal and kind of gross. Like I said,
Yeah.
like when we're doing that pomegranate eating, I said I kind of want it to sound like bones breaking. Like I said, like finding something like a little more not so pretty.
Hmm.
Since a lot of the visuals are on the prettier side, I was like, we need to find moments in that sound to make it kind of nasty and grotesque in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's so key to your film, right? So do you like the post-production process?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. And like I said to like very similar, like how I said like it was all of our films, like I tried not to hover when it came to things. Like I really tried to I just said like I trust you guys. I'm gonna let you do your thing. And then when you feel like you have something you want to show me, then we'll sit down and we'll go over it. Cause I didn't want to sit there and pick apart because of they're doing things that they enjoy and they might see something that I don't and I can
Yeah.
always tweak it. But I wanted to give them the chance to be able to explore that before I sat there and said like no or yes.
Well, that's a good way to
Um,
be. Yeah.
yeah, I really wanted to like, especially like Amanda, our editor, like I said, you know what, you edit it the way that you see it through the script and what the shots are. And then, especially because there is no dialogue, like you can edit it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's not just back and forth. So I just wanted to see what she came up with. And like, we were very, like, it was funny because we were very similar in what we saw. And like, the process was very smooth and like, yeah, I don't know. It was really enjoyable. And it just felt like we were creating a piece that we were all proud of, which made me happy.
That's great. So what, so you graduated, right? You grad
Yeah.
So what do you do? What are you doing now? What do you, I'm assuming hopefully you're making more films.
Yeah, I am. I've been working on a little something right now, an animation for my father. I haven't started it yet. I'm in pre-production. It's in honor of him. I want to make it. It's called Emma the Pouty Starfish, and it's going to be based off a children's book that he wanted to write, but unfortunately just didn't get the chance to. So that's going to be something in my future that I'm going to focus on for the next little bit for sure.
And your dad's aware of that?
I told my father. Unfortunately, I lost my father.
Oh, so this is
Yeah,
even more important, right? So yeah,
yeah, this is definitely in honor of him, and I want to make this for him. And like, I'm gonna find a team that's also passionate about it, and I'd like to use people who I've already worked with and who had the chance to meet my dad. But yeah, it's definitely a piece that's very, very dear to my heart. And
did he tell you the story, or he wrote it down? Like what? Like how did? What do you know?
well, I know that like he kind of talked about it a little bit. I'm gonna try to do the best I can for
Yeah,
him. Um, I definitely want it. The whole theme of the film is that you don't have to be so sad. Like life will pass you by if you're sad all the time or pouting all the time. And like
yeah.
there's beautiful things to see in this world, so don't let that stop you. And I know the ending of the film, he like just the ending of the book that he talked about, but
I like
that's
that. No, it's like
ongoing.
easier said than done, but
Yeah,
it's a good motto, of course, right? Like it's yeah, because sometimes we get our own self-pity gets in our way, right? So
yeah, for sure. So
yeah,
that's definitely in my future. I'm gonna start reaching out to people hopefully soon to get something going. I've been trying to look at it and plan it and like look at visual styles, but it's definitely gonna get done. That's
yeah.
in my future.
Great. Well, and yeah, just keep making movies, and I like I know that you have a very interesting kind of mindset. So I just yeah, I just wish you the best of success for everything.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate it. And we appreciate it being a part of this festival. And we really like, honestly, from the bottom, like my heart and my crews, like this means a lot to us. So,
That's great. And let's talk again soon when you make your next film.
yeah, that would be fantastic.